This camera could do everything. So to me, it was a very powerful expression of kind of hopelessness. That's an artist who died recently, very interesting guy, but my son commissioned that's Anna and me as dogs. So, for instance, in the dark, when I open the enlarger up to get the carryout, a light comes on automatic. Then when you have dust on your negatives and you have to clean it, imagine there's a negative in there, this is a little vacuum cleaner. So I vacuum it off.
Like going to the dentist.
Yeah, exactly. And you could see Gary's on one leg. He's moving. That's proof that Gary was it's a moving river. Brooklyn is a river. William Carlos Williams, an American poet that I love, and I did a book about him too called House Calls. He famously wrote, "No ideas but in things." You know, you can't leave it in your head. You have to have a physical manifestation of what you care about. And then other people, could have it. One spends one's life working to make a difference. Show you my camera before we go. This is what I photographed.
You also make camera, right? Cecilia camera. Cecilia.
That's all I use. The cameras I make.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is. And that's Siciliano Camera Works, and that's the camera. I mean, I could describe it to you, but this camera could do everything. That's
For
what
you.
I like. Yeah, for me. Come with me. This is the Gary Winogrand photograph I first saw. What it meant to me when finally something is a caged animal, and this is a powerful animal, and look at the frustration. That's all it could do. I mean, it's in a cage. So to me, it was a very powerful expression of kind of hopelessness. This is a famous photograph. That's Louis Hine, and that's Joseph Kudelka, who's a dear friend of mine. I'm naming all these photographers. He's incredible. One of the most incredible photographers. So I designed this bed, and it was going to be manufactured, and then it wasn't. But come in here. I don't know if you could see it. I could put light on. That's an artist who died recently, very interesting guy. But my son commissioned that's Anna and me as dogs. And then that's a painting of my son made by a painter who's a very close friend of ours. So mostly I surround myself with not photography. This is a painting by that same guy.
Earl.
Earl, yeah. Okay, so now you have to come down here. This was originally a little closet. I did a lot of this work by 1981, 82, but I've been building, I keep adding on. You'll see. So when you get to the top, you have to duck your head a little bit. So this is the darkroom. And you can see that you can see I have music all over the place. I have racks on racks on racks. But this was the original roof. So I came in and I put extra beams in, and then I cut the whole roof out and I built this. So, I mean, I could show you there's a lot of silly things in this darkroom. So, for instance, in the dark, when I open the enlarger up to get the carryout, a light comes on automatically.
Nice.
So then when I take this out, I'll put the light back on. You want to you want to see your film. So when this goes on here, I put a little switch so the light comes on automatically. Then when you have dust on your negatives and you have to clean it, imagine there's a negative in there. This is a little vacuum cleaner. So I vacuum it off.
Like going to the dentist.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm sure I was inspired by things like that. So then coming around here, one thing you'll notice is I have a lot of clocks. I mean, if you look up there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over there there's more, and there's clocks everywhere. So I told you I had a brain injury. That's how I started in photography. But one of the small consequence of the brain injury is I often don't know if 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes has elapsed. I don't know when I get very anxious about it. So I need a timer for everything. So like to print, it's 2 minutes. So I modified this timer, which usually goes 1 minute at a time. I modified it to go 2 minutes. You can see how slow it's going.
One circle is like 2 minutes.
One hole is 2 minutes. And then these timers, when they finish, they make a loud buzzing noise that startles me. So, and then you have to turn that off, and then my hands could be wet. So I modified all of these timers to do something else. So I know that sound means 2 minutes is up. And you know when you develop film, you have to agitate every 30
Yes.
seconds? So this time has been modified so that every 30 seconds it beeps all the way around.
And it's different sound, so
Yes. Now, when the developer, they have to go in the stop bath. And when you put them in the stop bath, this is usually at 45, but you put in the stop bath, I hit that timer, and then, you have to move the print around a little bit. Well, this happens automatically.
This is awesome. I always dream about it at Columbia, someone, yeah.
And then the fixer, I couldn't reach my hand all the way up there, so I made this, and then this one, that's the fixer. So they each move back and forth, and they do and that makes that sound. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So each one has a sound. So I'm moving around, and I don't have to think about it. I could turn my back on it because it's being agitated. I hear the sound. I pick it up, I put it on here, I drain it, it goes there, then it goes there, then it goes there. So there's a lot of silliness in here, but it's very efficient. So this is one studio room, and this is a room that I think of almost like my brain because of this memory thing, I have to label everything, whatever, otherwise I'll completely forget it. So everything I'm doing, these books I'm going to show you, everything has a drawer, a space, and this is how I'll show you something. I just showed someone. This is the Lee Friedlander photograph. That's Gary Winogrand. That's John, and you could see Gary's on one leg. He's moving. That's proof that Gary was, because when you see the picture of John, that's what he's doing. So that's when the shutter was released. So that was an inspiration for this whole book. And I'll show you we'll go in the next room. This room is for laying out books, sequencing the books. This is these are the photo books that I like to have on hand all the time. These are great classic books from my heroes. And in here and under there are thousands and thousands of prints of mine. This is the one that I can't wait to do. It's going to be called Some Immediate Family Pictures. Anna designs all the covers and everything, so this pattern is that picture made tiny.
Oh, that picture.
It's that picture over, and so is that, and so is that. It's all, you can see the bull.
Yeah.
So she has fun with that, you know, and then pick a color for each one. So this starts with, this is from Walt Whitman. Will you give me yourself? Will you come travel with me? Shall we stick by each other as long as we live? That's what you're saying to your spouse. That's what you say to your children. But, so this is Lee Friedlander, his wife, and Anna. So it starts with them. I really like that Lee's camera and flasher right over his wife's head. And then for the rest of it, it's always Anna and Giancarlo matched to each other, or the big ones are Anna and Giancarlo. So there's Anna and Giancarlo. So it's immediate family, but I'm not in it. These were my poodles. And then after the last one died, 5 years later, we got another one. Tino, who's my joy, he just died December 13th. He got hit by a car. He's 14 years old. But Tino's in here. So maybe I wouldn't have done this little book.
Who is this?
That's Anna.
That's Anna.
It's all the women. It's always Anna. There's Anna in bed. That's Anna.
Oh, wow.
Anna and Giancarlo in the backyard playing chess. That's Anna. There's the day that dog died. That's Anna. It's always Anna. There's nobody else in it. The rest, the book is Anna and Giancarlo, basically.
Wow.
That's the dress from the other book. That's right after I took the picture. That's my mother. And there's Anna shielding Giancarlo from the witch. Anyway, so then the nice thing about doing this is that it's part of a set. Otherwise, I don't think I would have just done a little book. There they are. That's Giancarlo. There's Anna. So that's that. I mean, it's a lot of, it's labor. You know, taking the pictures, oh great, and then, you know, to get to that, to get to, you know, the rest is labor. You know, there's so much foolishness around art. Like, people think you have to suffer to be an artist, so you have to be poor. That's, you know, that's nonsense. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be rich, but I think you have to have the materials you need to do your work. And in my case, I make the materials I need mostly. You know, you have to be creative about it. If I was only trying to make money, that would take so much creative energy away. But you can make money without using all your creative energy. Those years I taught were, you know, the greatest years of my life. You know, I loved it. One spends one's life working to make a difference, not just to, you know, get more comfort. I'm in the same house. You know, I needed more room, so I built a room. Then I needed another room. Then I needed another room. So you build it.
If we come in 5 years, there will be more floors.
Well,
Keep going up.
I built a little machine shop in the backyard. Then I needed more room, so I built a second story on the machine shop. So it's 2 stories, but that's just for storage. You keep adding. Life should be additive. You should have more. William Carlos Williams, an American poet that I love, and I did a book about him too called House Calls. He famously wrote, "No ideas but in things." You can't leave it in your head. You have to have a physical manifestation of what you care about. And then other people, could have it. But it can't just be an idea. I mean, people have ideas of, think that they're great, then they don't do anything. You waste too much time with ideas.
Yeah.
So the book I'm going to show you, these are the prints from that book. And these are the prints that I'm not using. So this is 168, and that's about 700 prints. To make these are not in the book, but they all have something. There's a reason for them all existing. I always like that picture. Anyway.
But you didn't choose it.
No, because it did. The book has to fit the book. Doesn't mean I'm rejecting the pictures.
How do you pick these? Like you went through all of this. Do you take them out, or do you pick, or do you already have a mental structure of what pictures you want, and then you?
Not the second thing you said.
Not the second.
So, what I do is I try to photograph as if I'm letting the world come in, and I want to be free. And then I have to develop the film and make contact sheets. Then to look at the contact sheet and decide which one to print. Because each print is an investment of time and money. But I print as much as I can. I want to be generous to the person that was out photographing. And then how do I edit? I edit as if God told me I'm going to have to carry the pictures I choose with me for eternity. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to be much more selective. So how do I choose? I choose the pictures that are going to be useful to me. So this book, Brooklyn is a River, is about the experience of life going by and being in it. Most of my life I could describe as being on the outside and watching and being that person. I wanted to be in it. I mean, I have a funny story. I was photographing on 8th Avenue on the Chinese Avenue. And there was a big building that was being constructed. And I watched for a couple of years. They broke down some smaller buildings and they dug a big hole. And as the building went up, they had, you've seen this, they put, what would you call it? They made like a tunnel on the sidewalk so that if something falls down, it's not going to hit anyone. So I was photographing. Remember I said the sun comes streaming down. I was photographing people as they came out of the darkness and into the bright light. So I shot a roll of film, and then I crossed the street because my camera, I have to change the film in subdued light. So I was changing the film, and I hear this voice, a very powerful voice, say, "Can I help you?" I didn't know who it could be, and I didn't. So I hear it again. "Excuse me, can I help you?" So I look over my shoulder, and it's this big guy, a big, powerful guy, clearly Chinese American. He's Chinese, but he spoke English, but like unaccented. And he's a big guy with a hard hat on, and he was the boss of this construction site. So I look at him. He said, "Can I help you?" I said, "No, I'm changing the film. I know how to change my film." And I was about to turn, and he said, "Why were you photographing my construction site?" So I said, Oh, I see. I was not photographing your construction site. He said, yes, you were. I said, I was definitely not photographing your construction site. And I said, look across the street, diagonally across the street. I said, look over there. He was really angry, and I said, look. And he looked over. I said, do you see the people coming out into the light? And he said, yeah. I said, don't they look beautiful? And the two of us just watched, and it was beautiful. And he said, he completely changed. He said, but I saw you point the camera. I said, no, here's what I did. And I showed him with the camera. I said, it's just a way to keep people at ease. I photograph, then I look around, and it's an act, it's a performance. And, and I'm looking through the camera, and it keeps people disarmed. And he said, I've been watching you for 2 years. I said, yeah, it's been, and he said, nobody bothers you. Everyone just accepts you here. And I said, do you know why that is? And he said, no. I said, because I belong here. I'm doing what I love. I'm part of what's going on. No one thinks I'm hurting anyone. And he said, if you want to photograph in the construction site, I'll give you permission. You could walk around. We'll give you a hard hat. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing exactly what I told you I was doing. I'm looking for the beauty that I see walking back and forth as people are going about their lives with their families, with their partners, old people, young people. Everyone is here. I want to be where life is happening, and I found it here. I haven't told so many people this, but we embraced at the end. He understood. Because if you tell people the truth, they understand.
Yes.
Anyway, so these are the pictures I selected, but I'm going to show you why. And I haven't shown people this. So when I was finished in 5 years, and I have all the prints done, all of this, what did I do? So Anna rephotographs, using one of those cameras, these prints, and here they are. And I cut them out, and we make, this is very important to me, I make very poor reproductions because I don't want to feel an affection towards it. I want to be able to throw it away. So I put these everywhere, in both rooms. They were everywhere. I taped them up, I pinned them up, they're everywhere with the number. And then I invented a system, and here it is. This is the whole book here, but I'll show you. I could take these pictures and I make them, so I'm a maker, so they could be stuck in here, and then I could put pictures next to it and move them around. I'm going to give you an imperfect demonstration. This is number 4. So I'm not going to start with 1. I'll start with 4. This I consider them all one picture. But the idea is that as it moves through, it's always one picture. Like, that has to be as good as that or this or that. They're always connected. But the real aperture is even bigger. I should just cut this out so you could see it. It's even bigger. So you never see one single photograph. It's always mostly one and part of 2 others. So not with this aperture, but the other one.
It's a river. It's a moving river.
It's a moving river. Brooklyn is a river. So then, if you look at that and look at 5, see, that goes right to that. And when you see it on the screen moving by, very quickly, you don't think of individual pictures. You think it's one thing just moving and moving. So you'll see what I did, because the architecture is the same on both avenues. And I was only walking in those two directions on each side of the street, that mechanically it did work. And the fact is, I would have stayed only on 8th Avenue, but I always fear misunderstanding. And I thought, if people are think I'm saying something about recent Chinese immigrants, I'm not. It's not that, it's art. And the only way to do that is to subvert anyone's preconceived notion.
Prejudice.
So on 5th Avenue, where it's mostly Latino, it's also some Chinese. So when I mix these together, instead of being about a specific place, it's about what it feels like to be in the river. So how did I decide? It was always, who do you want to be next to? Well, he wants to be next to, this guy wants to be next to them. And then the sidewalk, the experience is old, young, in between. There's a lot of pregnant women I photographed, a lot of people with children, a lot of men with children. In fact, it ends, the book has a beginning and middle, the movie and the book has a beginning, middle, and an end. So the way it works is that, of course. So I'm always dealing with memory, not prediction. I think only fools predict the future. So you never see the next picture. So that's this one and the one before. And then 3. And you could see in the end, now Anna and I do everything right here. So you could see that, well, we were just looking at that one, right? No, maybe not.
And then this is this.
That's that,
Yeah.
but how does this relate to what you just saw? Well, memory, there it is. There's your memory. And you'll see also that the picture jumps back and forth, and that's done with a kind of musical notation. It's done so that you don't get lulled into sleep. The movie doesn't go at one pace. The movie speeds up and slows down also. Otherwise, it becomes, mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how we try to deal with that issue. So, I really like this guy looking. It's not that I don't trust people to remember, but he's looking there. She's crossing the street, but there it is. And then who's going to be looking the other way? He is, and there it is. There are those 3, which relate to this and this and this. So this is the most complex thing I ever did in my life. This was like walking into a maze and trying to find my way out by looking at the pictures that I made. And so there, I'll go right to the end. I'll show you what I mean by the end. Oh, let me see. The humanity in it. Look at this and the word happy there. Fathers and children.
Yeah, I understand what you were saying about slowing the world down. It's almost like these people and you, like, taking on this tour.
There's a lot of little girls and...
I thought you said in class, don't photograph children.
Oh, but here's the other thing. I want to get to that. I'm going to get to that. It's very important. And it's a mother with light on. So there's a little girl, and then the Waters of Our Time ends with the dress I buried my
Yes.
daughter in. So here's the other thing I did to do this work. I realized that photographing while I was moving wasn't that interesting to me because I automatically was trying to make the photographs the way I always did. In other words, I'll call them good pictures. So I thought, if I just try to make quote unquote good pictures while I'm walking, what's the point of that? So I thought the only way not to do that is to try to make bad pictures. So I told people, don't photograph old people, don't photograph children. I did that. I said, don't photograph the backs of people's heads.
Yeah.
The book is filled with that. I did everything I told everyone not to do. I did it on purpose. I tried to make bad pictures. And it was incredibly liberating. But I don't think you could start that way. You could do it when after you're 65 years old. You can do whatever you want. You know, I was thinking I might start smoking cigarettes now because I didn't my whole life. You could do anything once you get old. What the hell's the difference? Straight up. So the other thing I did, you'll see, I made the second and third floor bigger than the first floor. I built out, and then I did the same thing in the shop. So when I go up, I make it bigger. So this is going to be, it'll be something like this in the end. Or like the viewfinder on my camera.
Yes.
So, or pieces like this I make in here. They're pretty complex, but I think it's fun to see. Hold on. Now be careful, don't drop this on your foot. Hold this. You may have to. Okay, so this was once in there.
Oh.
So that's what these machines do. They take a piece of aluminum like this, and it could turn into a piece of aluminum like this. The blue is just so you could put lines on it to see where you're working. But, I mean, the thing is,
And these machine you make or you bought?
no, in fact, Anna bought this for me for my birthday while we were still dating. This was my birthday present. But the machines are one thing, but in these drawers, do you see that these are tools that go in the machine? And I mean, the fact is there's more money in the tools than in all the machines. Every drawer is filled with tools. Money. These are parts to a camera I'm building. And you can see that the parts have to fit so precisely together. But I've been doing this one for a number of years. I have two more over here.
How many cameras do you have? Like you have one and then two backups?
Okay, so every time I make a new camera, that's the only camera I use. So that camera I made in 1991, and I never used another camera. And I'm making these because I thought, I'm going to get so old I won't be able to do it anymore, so I better make them in case something happens to that. But I have upstairs 5 earlier versions of that camera. So, I mean, I could fall back on an earlier camera. But I use the one over and over and over and over again.